Hello, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. This is Counselor's Couch 101, as you probably already know. Um, I try to look for themes that come up over the weekend like that and over the days, and then I try to speak of them because I figure that's the way to find something that's relevant and is what is on people's minds, right, at the time. And recently, I was criticized for saying still the same pronoun because I started several of these podcasts. And I'd say, "Hello, everybody. It's still the same name, still the same pronoun." And like I said, I was criticized about that, and I said, "Well, what's with that?" And I was told, "Well, that could offend some people." I said, if I say still the same pronoun, that's offensive to some people, and they say, "Yeah, they're going to take that wrong," and I say, "Okay," and I just sort of put that in the back of my mind. And then lately, I've been hearing from other folks who say they're afraid to speak. One person said, I try not to have any opinions whatsoever because no matter what I say, somebody's going to be offended, right? Somebody's going to be unhappy with it. And we get to the point that we can't talk at all. I have no opinions. I say nothing that is going to be controversial or cause anybody to be upset with me because I don't want to fall out. And some people even told me I don't want to be canceled. I'm afraid of losing my job if I say anything that offends somebody, right? And it occurs to me the family is the basic unit of society. All of our societies and our cultures, they grew out of family. If you think back to prehistoric times, the family was the unit, the basic unit that grow as they bring more people in and as each generations come around, and that produces the community. And that's how nations were formed, and that's how tribes were formed, and that's how lots of things came through history. That's the way it happens, right? Groups grow up from the basic unit of the family, grow out from family, add more members. So the way the family gets along is the way the culture is going to get along, the way the society is going to get along. It's going to set the pace for everything we do in human interaction, person to person, group to group, et cetera, et cetera. And so how do we deal with this thing if we can't talk, if we're not allowed to speak and say what's on our mind? How does anything work for the group as a whole? Doesn't the whole thing fall apart when we can't communicate? That's the deal. So the question becomes, how do we have an opinion in the current culture? I'm not trying to start trouble or anything. I'm trying to fix a problem. How do we find out what is okay to say to the group at large? And if you have any thoughts about that, please share them because we're looking for answers. How can we get along, still maintain our personality, our personhood, our individuality, and still be a part of the group? I've always said I can talk about anything. I can talk with you about anything. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to be the target that you shoot at, right? I don't want to be the object of your disregard, etc., any kind of negativity. I don't want to be that target. But at the same time, if you want to talk about something, I'm willing to talk about it, anything at all. People say, well, let's agree to disagree. I'm saying, I'm not sure that always works, right? In other words, you're saying somebody loses and somebody wins. Let's agree to disagree. And then people go out into the world and then criticize all the things that they didn't like about what you just said. So somehow or another, that sort of leaves a person feeling like the communication didn't work. There is an appropriate time to agree to disagree, but hopefully that comes at the end of a long conversation when you get to the point and say, okay, we've heard everybody's point of view. We understand where everybody's coming from. We know what they're feeling and trying to get across. And at this point, we're saying, okay, we're going to leave that alone because it's not that important, right? What are the important things? The important things are the social conventions that we end up with, right? I'm thinking in terms of, I know it's hackneyed and all that, but stopping for red lights. We agree that we're all going to stop for red lights, even if we don't want to, because we're trying not to harm anyone else or trying not to be harmed by anyone else, right? There are rules like that. I, for one, agree, let's not commit murder. I don't think that solves the problem. If we have something we need to work out, let us be free to work out that problem. I don't think that murder is the answer. Sometimes you have to defend yourself. That's different from murder, right? But the idea is to keep the communication open. This happens so often in families and happens so often in marriages where communication shuts down. We get to something, get to an issue that we can't agree on. So we sort of tacitly agree that we're never going to mention that again. Okay, that's one brick. We set it down. And then we find something else we can't talk about. Second brick, we set it down. And we keep doing this, and before long, we've built up a wall. And it's very easy to get to the point where we can't talk about anything at all because everything is off limits. Everything is a disagreement. Everything. And at that point, the whole thing breaks down, and all of a sudden, you no longer have a group. You don't have a family. Or in a larger case, we don't have a society because we're all arguing with one another. My thought is, how do we do it? How do we deal with that, right? What is the solution to that? What we're supposed to have free speech in this country. It's not available to people in all countries across the planet. It just isn't. And I keep thinking we're so lucky to be here that we have that so-called right, right? I would think it could come with being born, that you should be able to express yourself. But here we think of it as a right. We have a right to express ourselves. How do we communicate with one another without causing someone's feelings to be hurt or building bricks to wall off our communication or to have problems between us? I hear a lot of people tell me that we're becoming more divided than ever. And I keep thinking, okay, well, I heard what you said. That's not my experience, but I heard what you said, right? Somebody out there thinks that we are becoming more divided. But in my walk and the people I talk to, I think we're getting closer. At least the people I talk to are getting closer. We're starting to understand one another better, to appreciate one another, and to be aware of things that might be offensive to folks. I try not to offend people. That's not my purpose in life. I'm not here to offend anyone. I do believe in humor, and sometimes that can be construed as offensive, right? What I'm trying to do is figure out how to open up the lines of communication without causing anyone to shut down and shut off communication, right? So when I say still the same pronoun, some people say there's certain things that are given and we can't change that. And other people say, well, if we're going to do that kind of thing, then we're going to have to write a new dictionary. Some of the people are going to have to educate the other people as to how we're going to do these things, how we're going to communicate, because we've been told that the way we were brought up communicating is no longer acceptable. The way we communicate hurts somebody's feelings, so therefore we can't do it anymore. What are the solutions to those things? I think at some point we just have to stand up and say, I believe this. And hopefully we will be allowed to say that. And we should be allowed to say that in a relationship, in a marriage, right? Or anything else. Listen to the other person with respect. Try to understand them. Try to take in what they're saying. Try to be supportive of where someone is in their development and their philosophy of life. But at the same time, be allowed to have your own point of view. If you have any thoughts on that, on how to do that, please share them. We could all benefit from it. But like I say, I think we need to stand up and speak. And maybe we should be saying just that. I want to be able to voice my opinions and share my opinions and have a point of view in life. And that's what I'm standing up for. I'm not arguing about pronouns or anything else. I'm just saying I want to have the right to express myself in a way that I want to express it. Hopefully it's not offensive and on any subject. So that's what I'm thinking about. People saying they can't communicate anymore. We're not allowed to communicate. And I keep thinking to myself, well, we need to stand up and say that we agree to disagree, because I think we all should be able to communicate. We all should be allowed to say what we want to say. Someone once said, democracy is supporting someone who's saying something that you disagree with violently, but that you're defending their right to say it, right? If we shut down communication, we know that the first thing that goes in a marriage that's going to end up in divorce is communication. People stop talking. They stop understanding each other. So we need to keep the lines of communication open. We need to work on keeping them open, even if we don't like what we're hearing on the other side, right? And in a larger sense, we have to do that with community, with society, and with the country at large. We have to be able to speak. If you have any thoughts about that, please share them. I'd like to have some solutions, and I think basically the idea is tolerance. I said to someone I was speaking to just a little while ago, I said, I think the philosophy should be, can't we all just get along? What's wrong with that for a philosophy? Can't we all just get along? Let's respect each other's opinions and ideas, and let's get to appreciate people's differences and ideas. There is a lot more that brings us together than divides us. We have a lot more in common than we have in difference, right? So how do we share ideas? That's the thought for today. I appreciate you stopping by. In case you didn't know, this is Counselor's Couch 101. If you'd like to communicate with me, please leave a comment below or send me an email at counselorscouch101, counselorscouch101 at mail.com. I'd love to hear your ideas. Thanks for stopping by. God bless.